Hey everyone, how you guys doing today? My name is Tammy Davis. For those of you who have never been here before and are just tuning in, thank you very much. Um, for those of you who've been with me for a while, I do appreciate you as well. It's been an interesting journey that I started, I think it was back in 2015. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and boy, has it been an evolution in information. 5 years ago, I started out I was just going to write a book on aromatherapy, and it ain't that it's nothing like I thought it would be. Today, I'm working on a series that involves aromagenomics, a modality that I created based on my background in pharmacology, couple decades of epigenetic studies, study of plant constituents as they influence drug development and human physiology, which is significant when we get to the point of personalized medicine, and especially today with the all the talk about methylation, MTHFR, epigenome, and so forth. And basically, aromagenomics is a way of I'm pausing because it's something that my dad said to me when I was a kid. One of his biggest things was everything in moderation. And what we live in is a world of extremism. And that's kind of what brings me to the point of this video today. And aromagenomics is just that. It's the um, regrouping of really getting to the bottom of an understanding, more importantly, that these things that we're griping about with regards to what the body is producing chemically wise and how it's bad for us and how we have to go onto these extreme limiting diets. Um, and so what aromagenomics does is it basically looks at it's a method for not just working with the body but helping you understand why the body is going through what it's going through so that we have the ability to actually make different choices when it comes to supplementing and helping the body overcome whatever issue it's dealing with. So, on that note, like I said, what brings me to this today is the degree of extremism that we're imposing upon one another in the world. Now, as I mentioned, first of all, I'm a master clinical aromatherapist. I've been practicing and working with oils for over 30 years. I do have a background in pharmacology. I have extensive work in the field of epigenetics, as well as the study of plant constituents in regards to drug development and human physiology. And that's really along the lines of personalization and really understanding how these plant constituents influence human processes or genetic processes rather, so that we don't duplicate the mechanism of action, we don't create interactions, and that we begin to modify our choices based on what your body needs rather than what's being promoted in books and websites. So, in addition to all of that education, I've also gone through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and while I was in that program, was exposed to, gosh, countless types of diets, and what I just couldn't get behind any of it. None of it makes sense to me. Maybe it's because my dad used to say that, I don't know, but something or another keeps telling me that extreme behavior, well, that's out of balance. Okay, that's not stable. And um and so anything that I was listening to with regards to these diets that they were talking about, and they weren't suggesting that any one was better than another. It was merely more of an introduction to what's on the market, what's being talked about, and helping guide people. Because the whole point of that program is really, it's as a health coach, it's to help guide people in the direction of what's best suited for them. Now, what's interesting is I hear a lot of people out there promoting themselves as health coaches, nutrition coaches, but they're really steering people in the direction of these extreme diets. Um, gosh, over the years, I can't tell you how many people I've had the distinct honor of supporting on some level that were told, were put on such, like all meat, you know, um, all vegetable, vegan, and again, I say this, um, I mean, I've even had to dial it in based on what my health went through this last year. And before I go any further, I just want to say I am as healthy as I've ever been right now. Yes, I am um, almost a year out from my surgery for breast cancer, and I'm still in undergoing treatment. I'm saying this because I've been hit up by people. There's all this talk these days about body shaming, but we're always looking at women who are on the voluptuous side, curvy. But then there's people like me that I never have been. And I get shamed um, on the streets and online. And I'm saying that here because I just got hit hard yesterday with some people telling me that I didn't have the right to be talking about this because I'm not a well person. And I had to set them straight and let them know that wellness is a state of mind and being, and that physically I'm strong. I'm probably stronger than most people, and not unwilling to admit how I ended up in the situation. But that said, that's actually why I do talk about the things that I do. It's to shed light on what's really going on in the body so that we can begin to understand why we're beginning to experience, or we are currently experiencing, dis-ease. Okay, because there is an initializing chemistry that takes place. And one of my things is, if somebody says, like in the case of breast cancer, well, aromatase oftentimes is the culprit. Um, and so they can put you on an aromatase inhibitor and other medications. But the body's making it, there's a reason why it's making it, and it's not making it to be a pain in the ass. It's making it for a good reason. And so this is the method that I go through when I'm writing my books. And like I said, although I started out 5 years ago, the series that I'm doing right now focuses on one health condition at a time, and it involves the breakdown of the chemistry that's involved. Like right now, I'm writing one on sleep. It does include it started it out as ranking essential oils for sleep, and it's really taken quite the dive when it comes to the amount of information. But a lot of it is centered around the production of melatonin. And this is something that I was talking about in my last video, and the processes that are responsible for producing melatonin. So, like I said, aromatase, there's a purpose to it. Um, in this case of this presentation today, I'm thinking, well, histamine is another one. Okay, we talk about people going on low histamine diets. Through this investigation for this book, tyramine, which is a product of decarboxylation, is some people will go on a low tyramine diet. Now that it's interesting because it's not to say that I'm not poo-pooing the idea of eliminating certain things temporarily. Okay, so I need to make sure that I'm clear about that. I'm not saying that it's like everything in moderation and then try to, claw your way out of a situation. The best thing you can do is to at least get yourself into a state of comfort rather than discomfort, and then work your way back out towards being able to consume more things. For instance, like the tyramine, I oftentimes put people, I don't call it a low tyramine diet, but what I can tell you is that the fermentation process is what I've been referring to it as, is where the body it takes glucose and converts it into various sugars for certain purposes throughout the system. And this is part of actually decarboxylation. Okay. Um, and it's possible that there would be, I'm not going to say, I mean, I oftentimes refer to it as over fermenting. So I've taken people off of fermented foods, probiotics, um, because those are actually very high in tyramine. And tyramine, like I said, is a product of the decarboxylation of tyrosine. And decarboxylation occurs as it's a neutralizing effect. Okay. Um, I find this fascinating, truthfully, because the more I study it, the hydroxylation is the conversion of a lipophilic chemical into a hydrophilic chemical, so the body can actually eliminate. Um, it's so it can waste it, because a lot of chemicals are lipophilic, and so the ability to convert and flush is really important. But yet the hydroxylation process involves CYP450 enzymes. So at that point, due to stress, and I just want to remind you that stress is a mechanism that's designed it's the purpose of the stress mechanism is to keep us protected and and at least surviving. So whenever the DNA, which the DNA is in constant communication with the outside world, is notified of a potential threat, it signals the release of oxidative stress and inflammation. Okay, again, that's not a 24/7 experience. That's supposed to be deactivated, but it's not happening. So therefore, the epigenome is altered as a result of this. And that just means depending on your underlying genetics, your body and your epigenome is going to react in a way that you're in the way that you're wired for. Okay, so it'll deactivate certain things and activate other things because it's trying to regulate the chemistry so that you can survive this threat. Now you may say that, well, my life isn't being threatened, so why am I? It is. With the amount of worry and doubt and upheaval, especially in this year, 2020, um, it's been pretty stressful. And then on top of all that, we have the environmental stress. But the fact that with hydroxylation is medications and many chemicals, as I said, are in fact, um, they are in fact lipophilic. And with alterations to the CYP450 enzymes, it's going to potentially slow that process down. Now, this is what's going to cause more of an acidity in the body. It's going to raise the pH or lower the pH level and make it more acidic. That acidic environment kicks the decarboxylation up. Okay, so decarboxylation is happening at all the time, but it amps it up. And part of this discovery came when we hear about different nutrients being depleted from stress. I mean, we're told that we're being depleted, but where the hell are they going? I mean, how is stress eating this up? And this is something that's actually going into my current newsletter. Some of it's going into the book as well. But the fact is that, where are these vitamins? And there's only a few nutrients, truthfully, that are eaten up by stress. The rest of them are pretty much just stored or just wasted because they're water soluble, so they get flooded out. But one of the processes that eats up the vitamin B's is decarboxylation, because the B's are required for decarboxylation. So this is what would lead to a lot of mental health concerns, mood disorders, depression, anxiety, because B vitamins are essential for brain and nerve health. Okay, but if they're being used to neutralize our acidic bodies, and this isn't a cry to go out and eat an all alkaline forming diet. See, there's an example of an extreme diet. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm suggesting is with Aromagenomics, we can actually bring this back into balance so that the acidity is neutralized and we have a more, a mildly alkaline body, and we're not having to eat up all these vitamin B's, and that the vitamin B's can be used for other things. Therefore, taking a vitamin B complex is crucial, especially during these inflammatory times. And unless you're using essential oils, you're going to be taking vitamin B complex for a very, very long time, because your body is eating that stuff up because it's trying to neutralize the acidic environment that's being produced as a result of all the inflammatory responses that are being kicked up by the stress mechanism. Um, that said, like I said, I've had people come to me, low histamine diets. Another one is a low oxalate diet. Okay. First and foremost, histamine is an important chemical. Yes, it's found in food. It's found throughout nature, just like melatonin is found throughout nature. Histamine is found throughout nature, and we need it. We need to be able to deactivate it. So that's something that happens along the epigenome. It's also reduced when we find stability along at the cellular level. Again, this is where essential oils come in. So for there's very certain processes: hydroxylation, decarboxylation, sulfation, acetylation, phosphorylation, and methylation. All of those little nations um, are supported. The health of those processes are all supported and promoted and modified with oils. Hands down, oils make a huge difference. Which oils do that? That's in the book. I just can't give it all away here. What I can assure you that I've spent so much time these last few weeks really investigating this, because I will never say anything that I cannot back up. Um, so hydroxylation, decarboxylation, sulfation, methylation, acetylation, and phosphorylation are all supported by various essential oil constituents. Now, back to decarboxylation and hydroxylation. So like I said, the hydroxylation is going to be altered. Boy, the lighting is really bad. And I apologize, it's gray outside. The hydroxylation is altered as a result of epigenetic changes, because those epigenetic changes are influencing CYP activity. Decarboxylation, on the other hand, does in fact involve the epigenome. It does involve NADH. This is part of the fermentation process. But the more acidic the body, the more it eats up the vitamin Bs. And so, and therefore, sorry, I'm trying to think this through, because I get, one of the things is that the lymph stagnates. Okay, so I've talked a lot over the years, and the digestion slows down. And that's a fact. Lymph stagnates. Okay, so this is the reason why massage is good, why physical activity is good, because it keeps the muscles moving, and it helps to move the lymph system. Now, yes, there are essential oils that will support the lymph system. Lemongrass, laurel leaf, grapefruit would be a few. None of them work with all medications. None of them, I mean, yeah, you can't use lemongrass with antidepressants. If you're taking anything like lisinopril, as far as blood pressure, you don't want to use grapefruit. If you have blood thinners or you take aspirin on a regular basis, you don't want to use laurel leaf or lemongrass. So there's a number of medications that don't work with these oils, but they will in fact move the lymph system. And so I do recommend them if you're not taking medication, to at least keep the lymph system moving. And then again, you want to alter your oils every 4 to 5 weeks. You do not want to stick with the same oils, and you're actually better off, what am I trying to say? Changing them up every, couple of weeks, actually. You don't want necessarily, I mean, even if you change them up every couple of days and just use different ones, it keeps because your chemistry is constantly changing. But like I said, the lymph system stagnates. And with the stagnant lymph, you're going to have a buildup of things like oxalates in the body. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing. There's a purpose, like there's a purpose for histamine, and like there's a purpose for aromatase. There's a purpose to oxalates. Oxalates actually produce actually they're responsible for building blocks for the RNA, which is how we duplicate the DNA. And I want to get the exact names here for you. It's uracil and orotic acids, which are essential parts of like I said, of the RNA. So they're basically building blocks for our cells. Okay, so, and oxalates are produced throughout nature. So the body produces anywhere between 40 and 80% of the oxalates, and then we can get the rest of it from our foods. Okay, and they are essential to RNA and DNA health. That's what's fascinating to me is that the kidneys will actually sort when, because the blood is filtered in the kidneys, and so as the blood passes through the kidneys will actually leave enough oxalate that's for the body can use, and then filter out the rest and flush the rest. But there again, um, there's a condition called, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Um, it's not a common one, but it's where the kidneys begin to fail. But it is kidney related. So if we have higher oxalate levels in the body, it's a sign. Okay, I'm not saying that your kidneys are failing, but it's a sign that the kidneys are not able to sort through filter out enough of the oxalates. So there's something happening in that filtration system. I'm going to say that the liver, the lymph, and the kidneys are taxed. Okay, and my suggestion for you on that would be to get on some goldenrod and use some goldenrod at the very least, um, because you want to support this system of detoxing and flushing the body. Another interesting fact is that oxalates are part of the decarboxylation process. There's actually something called oxalate decarboxylase, which is an enzyme that is utilized. And again, decarboxylation is about taking a compound and removing a carboxyl group and producing a secondary metabolite as well as carbon dioxide. So there, again, is another form of detoxing. So we breathe out, right, the carbon dioxide. We breathe out the carbon dioxide. So our expiration, our exhalation is detoxifying. That's why we breathe. Okay, so we breathe in, and when we breathe out, and the deeper the breath, the exhale, the more carbon dioxide we can push out. Again, that's coming from the decarboxylation process. This is another reason why slowing our breathing down is essential, so that shallow breathing is going to acidify the body. Because you're not getting the carbon dioxide out. Okay, so that's going to be more stress, and it's going to create more acidity, and it's going to cause the decarboxylation to increase, further eating up your vitamin B's. So I say that because I really wanted to make a point that these chemicals that we're being told that are bad for us and that we need to limit in our diet, although if we're finding agitation and irritation, discomfort and dis-ease, dis meaning lack of ease, lack of comfort, because when we eat these types of foods that are high in histamine and high in oxalate, it's a sure sign that your body is taxed to the max. And stabilizing it is necessary. Somebody actually commented on my last video, and I want to say something here. I have to go back and make a response, but it was like essential oils are toxic. There are certain essential oils that can be toxic, and they can be toxic if you take them, if you use them on a regular basis, especially if you take them by mouth. Okay, this is one of the reasons why in a number of the videos lately, I've actually highlighted very specific constituents that are hazardous to our health, alpha copine being one and alpha pinene being another one. So we don't really want to be taking oils by mouth. So there is a degree of toxicity there. There's also a degree of toxicity if you use oils that are high, this is another reason why changing them every once in a while is a good idea, so that you're not constantly exposed to ketones and or what's the word I was looking for? Phenols, okay, because that has to do with sulfation. So this is, again, another reason why I'm inviting you to consider joining in Aromagenomics, because we can begin to sort through all of this out. And I want to say a little bit more about that here. So that program is that program is a lifelong program. All right. So you can come in at various pay levels. You can pay it all in full up front, or there's different payment plans. But as long as you complete your payments, you're in it for life. And the reason that's important and exciting is because this information consistently continues to adapt, and I consistently add to it. This is an organic process because aromagenomics is not, it's not textbook in the sense that we find this and then boom, we're done. This is an ongoing. For instance, sleep, okay, and stress. Two big ones right now. These are two very new topics, and when it comes to the science and the study of them, okay, we've been studying sleep for a little bit longer, but we're really now getting into the chemistry of sleep, and that's the reason why I'm doing this book, because it's basically eluded us, and many of us struggle with it. Stress is completely misunderstood, and we're just now getting into understanding what is that exactly is happening. A good example is the number of hormones that are being, hormonal changes are occurring. Okay, so there's different hormones being produced. There's certain hormones that are being squelched because there's a call for other more inflammatory chemicals. Good example is your thyroid hormone, your T3 and your T4 drop. And if you're chronically stressed, that's going to explain fatigue, that's going to explain narcolepsy, that's going to explain weight gain. So, because you don't have the energy output. All right. So, this is a very big deal. And these are the things that are going into the book. And like I said, it's even some of this is going into the newsletter. Not all of it. But I would love for you to join me on Aromagenomics. Because as I said, it's lifetime access to me, guidance, whether you have a business, whether you're a health professional and you're dealing with patients who use oils, you want suggestions on how to formulate for a particular client. This is all available. So it's not just me giving you information to work with, it's me giving you guidance on how to use this information and how to use it real time for what you got going on at that moment. So please consider that. In the meantime, just know that these processes in the body are very important, and they do feed off of stress. But coming to understanding what stress really is as a mechanism of survival is crucial. And learning how to, if we do need to do limiting diets for a while, that's okay, but incorporate oils because we don't want to have to live on such a limitation for the rest of our lives. All right. Hope that makes sense. I don't think I left anything out. Appreciate you very much, and I look forward to you on the next one.